This is Scene Notes, taste standards, and the decisions nobody sees. My name is Roselis. I'm the creator of Scene Notes, here with you today with my co-host, James. If I asked you right now, who is the love of your life? You would probably say it's your partner, your child, a family member. We've never been taught to say our own name. And yet, you are the only person you will never be without. Every relationship you have ever had is a reflection of this one.
Of the one you have with yourself, right? Yeah. Push.
And this whole season, every episode, every conversation has been pointing to this. The most important love relationship you will ever have is the relationship you have with yourself.
100% agree. It is the most important, the most influential. It is the one that really guides our relationship itself is the most important. Right? Everything grows from there. Right? And if we have a relationship with itself, and I think most of us are unaware that we can and that we do, because it's awareness. We use the word a lot, but it's just aware. There is a self in here that I am relating to. And that usually, bear with me, the self that you're relating to is not the true self. It's a version you created, right? But the love, the kindness, the compassion we must have for self. We must learn to develop a relationship like that, right? So this way we can then give it to other.
And that's the only way that really we can give it to other.
Correct.
Because if we don't have that for ourselves, how do we really know what love is? Because if we're not loving self and we are doing for other, it really becomes more of a sacrifice, more of an obligation, more of an expectation, whether it's societal, familial, business, whatever it is.
Right.
And you're there giving of something that you really can't support in a sustainable way, because the original love is not there.
Agree. Yeah. And let's not confuse, there are so many versions of love, right? So we think, oh, I love you. And I can't, we listen to love songs that have been written from the start of time. I can't live without you. Every love song we know, right, is this broken heart. I can't live without you. But what we're truly saying is that, my love for self depends on you, right? That's what we're saying, right? And that's not sustainable, to use your word.
No,
it's not sustainable, right? For one. And secondly, I don't believe by design that was meant to be. That we put all our eggs into a basket, and without this person, without this family, without this thing, we can't feel love, or we don't feel love. That's not love. That's just grasping at other or thing, right?
And depending on other.
1,000. Yeah.
Or, depending on you doing this for them so that you get the validation that you need, which has nothing to do with self-love.
Exactly.
It has to do with ego. It has to do with
self-cherishing.
Exactly.
Self.
All those things that are not necessarily a healthy, constructive relationship with yourself.
Agreed.
Right?
We were talking earlier off camera, we should have recorded it, but that, selfless love, wishing love is the ultimate in love.
Absolutely.
For self and others, meaning that, you have a partner, a friend, a colleague, a person on the street, a child, your pet, etc. You feel love for. And if we truly love them, then we want them to be happy, regardless of how it affects us
100%.
Right? So it's wishing love, right? Instead of grasping, saying, I love you as long as you do this. I love you as long as you're this way. And don't ever change, by the way. When we started dating, you used to do this. Or when we were married, you did this, but you don't do it anymore, so I don't love you.
I'm out of here.
Well, then the love was never there, right? And for self, right? We do the same thing to self. I was taught, quick story, to be perfect as a child. I know that sounds hard, but I was taught perfect.
Yeah. The expectation
sit
was
straight,
there.
Speak well, be the smartest kid in the room. I wasn't allowed to get dirty. I wasn't allowed to play with other children. Had to be perfect, And of course, we grew up in a time of, seen and not heard.
Oof.
And that was a tough one for me because daddy's loud, if you haven't noticed. So, and so I started doing the same thing to self. I had to be, in my younger days, really self-critical. Well, that's not loving self. Right? Loving self is accepting all the versions that sit around the table, and really saying, you know what? I'm taking all of you with me, and I love all of you. And I love the loud one, and I love the smart one, and I love the not so smart one, and I love because we all have different versions, right? The son, the partner, they're all different versions of James. I take them all with me, and I didn't always do that.
Yeah, nor did I.
Now I do, and I feel I truly, the love of my life, and not in an arrogant way, is me. And then I can take that love, and I think I do. I hope I do. And I try to give it to other. Right? And how do we replenish that? So we talked about, is it sustainable? Well, it's not if we're not refilling in some way, taking time for self, right? Giving to self.
And again, that's exactly what we've been talking about this entire season.
It is.
Right?
It all ties to this.
This is our last show of the season. We are taking a small break, and we'll be back in a few weeks. But this is the culmination of all the conversations that we've had. And the message all along is that. So we like to speak of the luxury that is these things, because we keep talking about luxury not being our things, although we love them, and we keep saying that, and it is true, but the real luxury is all in here. And the ultimate luxury is waking up and genuinely loving the person you see in that mirror.
Which is, I know, sometimes not easy.
Right? You're not performing. Right. They tell you, go look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I love myself, and da-da-da-da-da. No. We're not even remotely suggesting you do that.
Correct.
This is, you wake up and you love who you are. You genuinely are joyous of being the person that you are.
Right.
All those personalities that James just spoke of. Embracing all of that.
Accepting them, loving them, right?
Exactly.
And we may not all be there, though.
No.
There was a time in my life I wasn't there. There was a time in your life.
Nor did I.
So how do those people, how do they look in the mirror? They may not see it.
We get there by accepting all the little parts.
All of us. Yeah.
It's not judging those parts. I wanted to be blonde and blue-eyed. I wanted to be the Italian kid that was in my school that was cute and everybody loved. So I would talk to my little imaginary friend that sat on my shoulder in bed at night and tell him that I wanted to wake up as this person the next day. And then when I would wake up not being her, I was disappointed. So as a child, I didn't want to be me.
Yeah.
I think that when I got to that place where I experimented all the little parts of me, because I had to expose them, I couldn't hide them in the closet anymore. I couldn't hide them from my mother because I wasn't home. Now I'm with 300 other kids in a boarding school. How do I avoid any of this? I can't. So it was facing all of that and remembering what he had taught me.
Yeah.
But I think it's acceptance that gets us to the place where we can love ourselves. I'm a very visual person, and I spent years and years, and I still do it, and I'm almost 60, for God's sakes. I walk around the streets of New York like this. looking up, looking into people's windows. And then I run into a fire hydrant and I fall and I tear up my knees. I get up and I keep going. And then I start looking because I forgot that I just did it, right? And I keep going. And then the next thing I know is I run into those little fences that are around a tree that are taking care of the plants. And boom, there I go. And I got bruises all around my shins and knees and stuff. And all the time, I've done it my entire life, right? But I have to love that one, too.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, she's annoying as fuck.
Clumsy it sounds, too.
Exactly. But that's the whole point. Yeah, it's like embracing all of that.
I have a similar story, but not in the same way. As a child, I would be singing all day, which my mother encouraged. And I would be dancing around, singing into a hairbrush. And my mother wanted me to be this really tough guy because she was tough. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was a tough broad. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Mommy, I just want to sing all day long. And I would take crayons and paint all the walls. Mm-hmm. And I would take her nail polish and paint shit. I mean, cars, the tables, I was very expressive that way, right? Very artsy my whole life. And so as I got older and I get into school and my cousins, and I really kind of like butch it up. Mm-hmm. And I locked away the child that saw color and it was happy all the time. And that was joyous and would run around and be adventurous and just see the glass half full. As it were. And I locked him away because he was weak. Mm-hmm. And I became this really tough guy. So all through my 20s and 30s, I was so disconnected with self. It got pointed out to me. And this therapist gave me this visualization. He said, I want you to envision James as a child, and I want you to hug this child. And I want you to say, it's okay to dance around the living room and paint the walls and sing into the hairbrush and be happy and catch butterflies and talk to people and really just love. And love that version of yourself. Accept it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I do that. And I was nowhere near doing that. Yeah. And another visualization, same therapist, he said, you're going to sit at a conference room or at a dining room table, and you're going to bring up all the versions of yourself. The child that sings, the one that loves race cars, the one that ran a construction company, the one that your mother used to yell at that would be fearful, the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because James is all over the place, right? So all these versions. And I want you to love all these versions. And the day, swear to you, he says, this gives me chills. The day that you can walk out of that room with all of them in tow, side by side, is the day that you will become whole and love all aspects of yourself, accept them all. Yeah. And I finally learned how to do that. Mm-hmm. Like it took years. Mm-hmm. I would wish that, someone is blessed to be in their teens or 20s and be able to do that, really love all versions. And they're probably out there, and those people are truly blessed.
Yeah, they're blessed because there are. There are definitely people out there who have that joy from the very beginning. Correct. It's been inculcated in them by the love that's being shown to them by their parents, the acceptance, because that's really it, right? If you get that acceptance from your parents and not criticism and not a judgment or a rule of behavior, but a suggestion of behavior and acceptance of who you are, then of course you're going to have that kind of self-esteem and self-love that comes from that. But we had to teach it to ourselves. We had to
become the parent. We became the parents. And I tell people this all the time. I had a fucked up childhood. You had a childhood that wasn't so lovely, right? Even though she's blessed because she had a father that was an angel, right? Mm-hmm. A very spiritual being. So fantastic. But at some point, guys, we must become the parent and parent self and say, okay, I get it. I have this stuff that I'm carrying with me, but I don't have to carry it anymore. And I can really see all the versions of me and say, I love all of you. And then when you look in that mirror, and you see maybe somebody's aging, or maybe you see somebody that's not blonde and blue-eyed, or whatever it is you think that you don't see, you still love it. Because I'm getting older. I look in the mirror sometimes and I see my mother and I'm like, whoa. Huh. Uh-huh. And then I kind of smile because I know that I'm a good person. I try my best. I really do, with the best intentions. And I really love who James is. I really do. And it took me a lot of years to be able to say that wholeheartedly. And I wish that for everybody. Everybody on this planet that spins around on this rock, that we find love for self, that true love for self, because then it's so easy to give it to others effortlessly.
Right. So if we were to ask you right now who the love of your life is, who is the first person that comes to mind? And if it isn't you, why is it not yourself? I mean, it's something to ask oneself.
And be aware of. But we may say, oh, the love of my life isn't me. It's my children, my husband, my wife, my parent, my mother, my father. Who, let me ask you this. Who is the one person you think about all the time? I'm hungry. I'm tired. I need this. I need that. My children. My husband,
my husband, my home.
Our entire existence revolves around self.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could truly feel self-love.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Then how blissful could that be?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, what does the relationship with yourself consist of? And we're not talking about the rituals and the things that we do that give us structure, but where and how do we really go there? Like you had this exercise of the visualization of all of your parts. For me, it's just really being able to laugh at myself. And
I do that now all the time. People think I'm on crack. I laugh at myself all the time.
See all the quirks and all the things that I think are nutty and be okay with it all.
Yeah.
Because what's wrong with that? We don't have to be one of the masses. I mean, we are one of the masses in the human race, but we do not have to be like others. There is no such thing as normal. It's these uniquenesses that we can embrace that make us who we are and makes us special and makes that relationship that we have with ourselves, that if we're able to impart it and give it to another, it's giving a gift.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Do you think that it's one that because we're at this stage in our life, the third act, that we're able to do that easier than when you were younger?
Yes.
Because when you're younger, you're trying to fit in, you're trying to be in, fit into whatever. This thing didn't exist when we were younger. So I think it was maybe easier. But at a certain age, you just stop caring so much what other people think and just really go inside and think, what do I think? What do I feel? And that's one great thing, if not the best thing about getting older. But what do people do that aren't in our age group, that are much younger, that are trying to fit in? How do they love self? How do we get that awareness to that person?
It's such an interesting question, because I think about, yes, I do believe that a lot of this comes with time.
Yeah.
Right? I do believe that a lot of it comes with age. And I do believe that because we had similar experiences in that stage of our life, we ended up with specific types of insecurities, if you will, that many others don't have if they have an accepting situation in their home. But I also think that for me, like I think about this, my father's children were very good looking. My father had 2 children from a prior marriage, and one of them is a female. So he had a boy and a girl, exceptionally good looking.
So you have a sister and a brother.
Right.
Okay.
On my dad's side.
On the dad's side.
Right.
Okay.
We never lived together, so I never had this sibling experience, but they are my siblings, right? And I remember when I was a child, I would go walking down the street with my father. My father knew everybody on the street. So every block or every 2 blocks, we would be stopped by somebody. Oh, it's so good to see you. The hug, the this. And I'm like sitting there like, and they would say, oh, look at this beautiful child. And my father would say, beautiful. You should see the other one.
Ah, really?
Right? So I learned, but this is interesting. I learned that I wasn't the beautiful girl, but it didn't make me any less loved. However, I didn't like the label beautiful because that label was not applied to me by my dad. right?
Interesting. Now, I never knew this story, and I know almost all her stories. Wow. Okay.
So when I was younger and I started dating and boys would say to me, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," I would say to them, "No, I'm not. I'm attractive."
That's where it comes from. I have heard you say that. That's where that comes from. Wow. Okay.
That's where that comes from.
Wow. Okay.
But notice that I didn't go into the I'm ugly,
Yeah.
I am less than, I am not a good looking girl. In no way am I negating that I'm good looking. I'm just saying I'm not beautiful, because the beautiful is my sister. That's the type of beautiful. Okay?
But that's...
But allow me to finish this statement.
Go ahead.
So what happened in a way is that there was this acceptance of the girl that I am. The female self, right, is attractive, is interesting, is someone that can lure, that can be sexy, that can be all these other things about being a woman.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to be beautiful. So I didn't have body issues because my entire life I had given myself the permission to feel as an attractive person.
You cultivated that.
Exactly.
Right? Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Isn't that powerful? How the human mind can work and body, that she at a very young age cultivated this.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
so what I'm trying to get to by telling this story, right, is that it is that way how we can get to love ourselves and not have to wait until you are in your
Getting older.
50s
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see that, right? Even if it's a trick of the mind, at the same time is not diminishing the person you are.
1000%.
Finding ways of preserving that sense of value within you.
Wow. Interesting story. I do think you're beautiful. And it's interesting because I have been calling you beautiful for 15 years, 14, 15 years, almost every morning. No?
Yeah, that's how you address yourself to me.
Yeah.
Like I say, "Hey, handsome."
Correct. So interesting. So my 2 cents, for what it's worth and all that, for one, I think brilliant. I think that, yes, with age, hopefully experience comes, and with experience, we learn to accept and then love self. At a younger age, my tools were arrogance. I was very arrogant as a young man. I was really macho and arrogant. It was all a shield. I had no relationship with myself. So to be that 20-year-old guy today, I would give him a big hug and say, you know what? You are good enough, bro. And you have everything it takes. And you're going to do well. And you're going to love yourself one day. So with that being said, can you do that now at a young age? Of course you can. Right? If we can cultivate love for others, which I think every young person, every human being has some version of cultivating love for others. A parent, a child, a sister and brother, whomever, a lover. If you can cultivate love for them, you're cultivating the love. You are here, which means it's here. It's not out there. The person, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the mother, the father is not dropping the love off to you. You're cultivating it and giving it. So what is that telling us? It's here. It started here. When I discovered acceptance and all of that and my spiritual journey, and it just added and added and added, this just exploded. But wasn't it always here the whole time?
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that's where I was going to go next. If we think about it in what we discuss as the spiritual terms, and we are able to really early on learn about that. And how do we learn about that? We learn about it by trusting ourselves, by trusting that kind of oomph that happens in our body that nobody tells you. If there's none of that in your household, nobody tells you to listen to your gut instinct, because it's literally a punch in the gut that happens when you are in that space. If we are able to learn the discipline of spirituality, which is about a lot of things that we've talked about here, about the silence, about respecting ourselves, about taking joy, about the journey, about not accepting all of these things, they all come down to that, that space within you. If you can, at a young age, you get the sense and you test it. You go and you do this thing that you thought was the correct action, but you felt that you needed to go in the other direction. And when this period is over and you have tested that action and recognized that the other was the way to go, if you're able to internalize that, that's a huge step of self-love.
It's huge. It's our inner compass. So listen, I'm a big advocate for spirituality. And I think that at a young age, I was a very spiritual person. But of course, I wasn't aware of it. I was practicing, heavily steeped in the Christian faith and Catholicism, and I studied many different things, right? So there was always that voice, always the consciousness was here guiding me. But I didn't always listen to it because I didn't know how to listen to it. So today, if I could say anything to someone any age, but especially young people, really try to tap into the consciousness that's here, because all the answers, they're not out there. We can read, we can get on this 24 hours a day, which we do, unfortunately, or sometimes fortunately, or read or educate. All the answers are here. We just need to be aware and tap in.
And so if we get to that bit and we think about it, not loving yourself can cost you that, because that's exactly it. So you went into this direction because you thought intellectually that that was what you needed to do, but you weren't being loving of yourself.
Correct.
By honoring that bit within you that had told you exactly where you needed to go and what you needed to be. So, you know, one of the things to think about, and one of the ways of thinking how or what you can change, is what are the things that you would never do to someone else that you do to yourself? So here's an example. Like, I would never say to somebody, oh, you are an idiot, or you are so stupid, or you are a good for nothing, right? And I don't say those things to myself. That's just, again, I always put a positive spin. I'm not saying that that's correct, but I've been very lucky to not have that
dialogue with
myself. But I hear all the time people who do that.
Yeah.
So if you think about, would I say to other, you are so stupid, you are a good for nothing, would you do that? I mean, I know that I wouldn't. So it's a way of you to learn. If you wouldn't do it onto somebody else, and all of a sudden you catch yourself doing it to self, change that.
Great.
And that's a step in the direction of loving yourself.
Being kind to self. Like, we think of being kind to others, but when's the last time we were kind to self?
Absolutely.
You know?
It's really that simple.
That's really,
it's really that simple.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Because that kindness shines out, right? If we can give it to self. And I only recently, in the last maybe 10, 15 years, have learned that. Or not learned it, be aware of it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That even you catch me sometimes.
Yeah,
You're like,
I do.
And I'm not being kind to self, right? I'm beating myself up, you know? I mean, I I'm blessed with a lot of awareness, but then at the same time, I'm still human, and I still live in this cycle of existence. So I forget sometimes, and I get caught up in the world and life, and I'm like, oh, I should have been doing this, and I didn't do that, and I fucked up here, and I da.
And they're habits that we fall back into very easily. But the moment you catch it, the moment that you go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
How could I have done that? No, that's not the dialogue. It's like, laugh. Oh, shit.
That's it. Exactly.
I made a mistake. I mean, like, what's the big deal? Yeah. It's embracing all those little things. And that's how we do it. I mean, there were many years of many insecurities for me, and they had to do with some of my intimacies of allowing things that I didn't need to allow because I made excuses for one of the parental units as to not being respectful or honest or whatever, and having all those fears. So in those circumstances, I allowed a lot of this that didn't give love to self. But as I learned those boundaries, and as I learned that those things were not acceptable, it didn't matter from where they came, then I was able to give that love to self that I couldn't do before, because in that seeming acceptance or grace that I was giving this other human.
Yeah, of course.
I was actually not giving it to self. You
weren't giving the grace to self.
Exactly.
When my mother passed away many years ago, 2014, we unfortunately had some not so nice dialogue right before she passed away. Nothing that I definitely do not feel guilt about. But it stayed with me for a lot of years. And I realized at a certain point that I had become her. Like, she had already passed. I put her in the ground. And then I took over the role of judging me, of not showing myself love, right? Of saying, you need to do this and you need to do this. And by this age, you have to have this. And by this, da.
Because that's what she had put on you, right?
1000%. But I became that parent. And then this brilliant, we're blessed with certain pathways. And when this therapist had me do this exercise of seeing the smaller child and hugging it and talking to it, I still do it today, guys. When I'm in a fearful mood and I catch it, I hug that child inside and I'm like, I got you, bro. I'm the parent now. I'm the dad now, and the mom and the source. And I am going to take care of self, right? And not in an arrogant way, in a very loving, kind, compassionate way.
And that's the spirit, right?
That's the consciousness. It's always there, been there. Correct.
Yeah.
We're just connecting to it now.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of, the battery's fully charged. Now we're connecting. And I know the battery's fully charged even when you're very young. We just don't have the awareness that we're carrying around that love, kindness, all of it.
If you're in an early stage of life, or even if you're not. But this is not a bit that you're accustomed to. It's one of the greatest exercises and the greatest ways of showing your self-love.
Agreed. I cannot advocate enough for sitting with self. When is the last time you sat with yourself and did nothing but just sit with self? At a young age, an older age, doesn't matter. If you sit with self, the answers, the love, the compassion will eventually arise, because there are no distractions to distract you from what's in carry every day.
Hey, just like you always talk about, observing our thoughts, right?
Yeah.
What is happening? What is your self, higher self? We're pointing to our chest or inner being, for those of you who cannot see what we're doing physically,
that
right?
Is hard chocolate.
We're talking about what's inside, in our chest cavity, in our pit of our stomach. That's the one that gives us the warning, and then the one up higher that gives us that drive, right? So, listening to that, being in tune with that, in that silence. We're talking no TV, no radio, no social media, nothing.
No talking, nothing.
It's sitting quiet.
Just with self. And observe the thoughts if you can take it, observe the thoughts, but just start off with sitting by self.
And if that doesn't, pay attention to your breathing, pay attention to the murmur of your air conditioner, whatever it is, focus on one thing and then observe the thoughts as they come.
Yeah.
And life will tell you exactly what you have to do to love yourself.
Correct. Because the love's there, guys. We don't have to search for it.
Right.
It's not outside of us. It is us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's joyous news. That's like, that should be on the front page or in every social media thing. The joy is within. The love is there. We carry it every day. We're just distracted and not listening and connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, James, thank you. Thank you so much for this season, for being a partner in this ride that I wanted to take. This was one of those.
Yeah.
It was, the thought came and I felt it and I accepted it, embraced it, proposed it, and here we are. So.
And hopefully it's touched somebody out there that has made a little shift. And makes it all worth it.
As we close the season, if Seam Notes is something that meant anything to you, if you've followed, please go to Apple, rate us, leave a review. It helps us be able to continue to do this in order to help others, because that's the main idea behind all of this. We want to be able to help others get to the place that we've been able to after much self-search, many mistakes, lots of falling downs, not only with fire hydrants, but in many different ways, So remember, the love of your life has been there this whole time. You just hadn't introduced yourself yet. Thank you for being in this room every single week. Season 2 is coming. This is Seam Notes, luxury from the inside out. Woo!